Corporal Jack Vance stood on the edge of the landing pad, staring at the giant alien palace in front of him. It shimmered like a golden mountain, covered with strange carvings and glowing lights. Around him, tall alien guards stood still, their black armor making them look like walking statues. Their insect-like faces showed no emotion. Jack had no idea why he was here. He was just a simple medic. He had helped injured soldiers during the Earth Wars. He wasn't a fighter, not a scientist, not a diplomat. But somehow, he had been chosen to meet the most powerful alien leader in the galaxy, the Queen of Velshara. A robot floated toward him, its voice smooth and cold. "Corporal Jack Vance? Follow, the Queen awaits." Jack took a deep breath. "All right, let's meet the Queen." The palace inside was even stranger. The walls were alive, pulsing like slow-moving jelly. Strange lights floated through the air. The smell was sweet but sharp, like fruit mixed with metal. Jack walked through long halls and twisting tunnels. At last, the robot stopped in front of a giant door covered in silver vines. The doors opened slowly. Inside was a huge chamber. The center sat a tall figure on a throne made of bones and crystals. She wore a black and gold robe. Her eyes glowed green. Her face looked like a mix between a human and a giant praying mantis. This was Queen Zirana, ruler of the Zenthari Empire. Jack bowed. "Your Majesty, I'm honored to be here." The Queen stood up. Her voice echoed through the room, sharp but calm. "Human, you are not here for war. You are not here for trade. You are here for something more important." Jack blinked. "More important?" She raised her arm. A small bundle was placed on a floating platform and brought forward. The bundle moved. It cried a high-pitched, painful sound that echoed through the throne room. "My daughter," said the Queen. "Her name is Kiru. She has not stopped crying since she hatched. No Zenthari can calm her. No machine can soothe her. Your kind is known for strange emotions and care. I give you a challenge. Soothe her." Jack's mouth went dry. "You want me to babysit your baby?" The Queen's eyes narrowed. "If you succeed, I will grant your people greater access to our star systems, and I will grant you my time. Fail, and you return to Earth in shame." Jack looked at the baby. She was small, wrapped in silk-like cloth, with tiny claws and soft, glowing skin. Her eyes were shut tight as she cried. He had no idea what he was doing. But he had once calmed crying babies in refugee camps. "Maybe, just maybe." "I accept the challenge," Jack said. The Queen nodded once. "Take him to the cradle chamber." The cradle chamber was a warm room filled with strange glowing plants and floating beds. Two alien nurses handed the baby to Jack and left the room in silence. Jack held Kiru carefully. She was surprisingly light. Her skin was soft, and she had small antennae that twitched as she cried. "All right, little one," Jack whispered. "Let's figure this out together." He tried rocking her gently. She cried louder. He tried humming an earth lullaby. Nothing. He checked her wrappings. No injuries. No wet cloth. "Still," she screamed. Jack sat on a soft cushion and thought. Earth. He remembered one trick. Heartbeat rhythm. He took off one glove and placed Kiru close to his chest. "Feel that?" He whispered. "That's my heartbeat." Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Nice and slow. She shifted, still crying, but softer. Jack kept speaking softly. "You're not alone, Kiru. I'm here. I don't know what you want, but I'll stay. I promise." Minutes passed, then 30, then an hour. Slowly, Kiru's cries began to fade. Jack didn't move. He just hummed softly, letting her feel his warmth. Then, silence. He looked down. Kiru was asleep. Her claws had curled around his shirt. Outside the chamber, Queen Zirana watched through a glowing screen. Her face was unreadable. Beside her, an advisor said, "This human may be dangerous. He succeeds where our kind fails." The Queen did not reply at first. Then she whispered, "No, not dangerous. Curious." 2 hours later, Jack stepped into the throne room again. The baby was still asleep in his arms. Queen Zirana rose. You have done what Nozenthari could, she said slowly. She sleeps. She is calm. Jack nodded. She just needed someone to stay. The queen stepped closer, her eyes focused on her daughter. Then she looked at Jack. You have earned my interest, human. Perhaps there is more to your species than noise and fire. Jack smiled, tired but proud. We're full of surprises. The queen gave a slight bow of her head. You will stay in the palace. You will teach. And you will learn. That night, Jack sat in a guest room made of glass and light. Was nearby, sleeping in a strange but cozy nest. He looked out at the stars through a clear wall. This is insane. He whispered, I came here for diplomacy. Now I'm babysitting an alien princess. But deep down, he didn't mind. Something about this mission felt different. Important. And somewhere, in a cold palace made of gold, a mighty alien queen stared at a screen showing a human holding her child. For the first time in many years. She smiled. Jack Vance woke up to the soft sounds of alien birds singing outside his glowing glass room. The sky above was purple and pink, with 3 moons still visible. He sat up slowly, his arms sore from holding baby Kiru all night. She was still sleeping her. Little antennae twitched now and then, and her claws held a piece of his shirt like a comfort blanket. Jack smiled. You're stronger than you look, kid. Soft buzz sounded from the door. It slid open, and 2 Zinthari attendants walked in. Tall, thin, sect-like beings with shiny skin and no mouths. One of them held a tray of glowing blue food. Jack looked at the meal and raised an eyebrow. Is that breakfast or a science experiment? One of the attendants spoke through a small speaker on its chest. The queen wishes to see you in the sky garden. Come after feeding. Jack looked down at Kiru, who was now blinking awake. Guess. We're both invited, he said. The sky garden sat on top of the tallest tower in the palace. Plants from 100 worlds grew their giant flowers that danced in the air. Vines that sparkled, and pools of clear water that floated in bubbles. Queen Zirana stood alone by a high balcony. Her golden armor glowed in the morning light. She turned as Jack approached. Carrying Kiru in his arms, she did not cry, the queen said. Nope, Jack replied, gently bouncing Kiru. She woke up, looked around, yawned, and stared at me. Like I was a walking pillow. Zirana stepped closer, looking at her daughter with deep eyes. You are strange, human. Your kind uses sound, touch, and warmth. We use calculation, order, and silence. Jack chuckled. Babies don't care about order. They want love. The queen looked puzzled. Love. We do not use this word. Jack nodded. I figured. But I think your daughter is bringing it back. She watched as Kiru grabbed Jack's finger and giggled softly. For a moment, the queen was silent. Then she said, Walk with me. They walked through the garden slowly. Jack explained Earth parenting, how mothers and fathers sing, hold, and talk to their babies. He told her about bedtime stories, messy diapers, the wild joy of hearing a baby's first laugh. Queen Zirana listened with interest, asking questions in her sharp, calm voice. Do human rulers raise their own children? Some do. Some hire help. But most try to spend time with their kids, no matter how busy they are. I have never held Kiru. Not until yesterday. Jack stopped. You never held her. The queen looked away. In our culture, royal infants are raised by the care units. Mothers are not expected to touch them. Touch is weak. Jack gently moved closer. That's not weakness. That's strength. You held her yesterday, and she calmed down. She knew you. Zirana stared at Kiru again. Her cold expression softened just a little. Teach me, she said. Jack blinked. Teach you? How to hold your baby. Yes, she said firmly. Show me. Later that day, inside a private royal chamber, Jack stood next to the queen. The room was filled with soft lights and gentle music, designed to calm young Shashir. Then slowly passed her into Zirana's arms. The queen looked nervous, but she didn't say anything. "Support her body like this," Jack said, guiding her hands. "Now let her feel your heartbeat." Kiru blinked at her mother. At first she squirmed. Then she relaxed, her tiny antennae brushing Zirana's chest. "She is not crying," the queen said in wonder. "She knows you now," Jack replied softly. "She feels safe." Zirana stood still for a long time, holding her baby. Her body did not move, but Jack could see something changing in her eyes. "Stay," she whispered. "Stay longer." News of the humans' success spread quickly through the palace. Some Zenthari were curious, some were angry. Others were afraid. In the training arena, Commander Volan, the queen's top warrior, slammed a spear against the wall. "This is a disgrace," he growled. "A soft creature touches the air, holds the queen's favor. This is not our way." Another guard nodded. "He is changing her, making her feel." Alon's eyes glowed red. "Then we must remind her what true strength is." The next day, Jack was walking through the crystal hallways with Kiru in a floating cradle beside him. He was teaching her to say "da-da," even though she mostly clicked and squeaked. Suddenly, alarms rang out. Doors slammed shut. A group of black armored guards stepped out in front of him. At their center stood Commander Volan. "You go no?" "Farther human," Volan said, raising a blade-like staff. Jack raised his hands. "Hey, calm down. The baby's with me." "You will not corrupt our queen with your weak earth feelings," Volan growled. "You leave now, or die." Jack looked around. No help in sight. He didn't have a weapon, but he had something better. "Fine," Jack said. "You want to scare me? Do it." "But the baby cries when she's scared. Loudly, ear-piercing, I hear." Volan took a step forward. "Are you sensing Jack's fear?" Started to whimper. Jack bent down and gently picked her up. "It's okay. I'm here." Her cry stopped. She looked up at him. The guards blinked. "She listens to him," one of them whispered. At that moment, Queen Zirana stormed into the hall, her cloak flowing behind her. "Stand down," she shouted. All guards dropped their weapons. Volan looked stunned. "My queen, he's a threat. Silence," she roared. "He is more Zenthari than you." She walked to Jack and looked at Kiru in his arms. "Is she unharmed?" Nodded, just scared. "She's okay now." Zirana turned to her guards. "From this moment forward, Jack Vance is under royal protection. Any harm to him is harm to me." The guards dropped to one knee. Volan stayed standing, his eyes full of rage. Then he turned and marched away. That night, in the royal chambers, Queen Zirana spoke with Jack alone. "You faced a warrior without fear," she said. "You calmed my daughter in danger. And you taught me how to hold her." Jack smiled. "She taught me too." Zirana sat down beside him. "I have ruled for 90 cycles. I have fought wars, crushed rebellions, and spoken to stars. But today I learned how to be a mother." Kiru giggled between them, playing with both of their hands. "Earth has many flaws," Zirana said, "but it gave me something rare, a human with heart." Jack looked into her glowing green eyes. "You're not as scary as you act." The Queen raised one eyebrow. "Careful, human. I am still your queen." Jack laughed. "Yes, your majesty." But deep down he knew something had changed. This was more than a mission now. This was a bond, and it had only just begun. The golden palace of Velshara was buzzing with whispers. The humans had sent one man. Just one. Not a warrior, not a leader, not a scientist. Just a medica-soft, emotional creature who held a baby like it was the most powerful thing in the galaxy, and somehow it won the alien queen's attention. Jack Vance didn't think of himself as important. Now he walked through the shining halls with royal guards behind him. Not because he asked for them, but because Queen Zirana ordered it. He was no longer just a visitor. He was now known as the Soothbringer, the man who calmed the royal air. But power and favor always came with danger. That morning, Jack entered the Hall of Echoes, a royal classroom where he was helping the Zenthari caretakers learn human bonding techniques. A group of baby Zenthari sat in soft nests, clicking and twitching. The alien nurses looked confused as Jack demonstrated how to sing a simple Earth lullaby using calm, slow tones. Use your voice, Jack explained. Talk. To them, let them hear your feeling, not just your orders. But they do not understand our words, one nurse said. Jack smiled. Babies understand love, Evan, if they don't know the language. A few tried. Their voices were stiff at first, but slowly the babies in Thari stopped moving so much. Some even closed their eyes. From the shadows, Thari, a quiet palace worker, watched carefully. She was lower class, born in the outer tunnels. But she had been secretly supporting Jack since his arrival, bringing clean wraps, soft fruit, and even calming herbs from the gardens. She believed in what he was doing. I never thought a human would teach us peace, she whispered to herself. In the throne room, Queen Zirana sat on her high seat, watching the royal screens. She saw the nurses trying Jack's methods. She saw the children relaxing. She saw her daughter Kiru smiling in her floating cradle. The queen touched the screen gently. Maybe. This is the future, she said softly. Her advisor, High Scholar Veen, stood nearby. You are changing too fast, my queen. Many in the council are afraid. Zirana looked at him coldly. Afraid of what? Calm children? Loving mothers? Say you are softening. The human is controlling your heart. Zirana stood up. Her armor shimmered. I control my own heart, she said. But for the first time in years, I can feel it beat. That night, while Jack slept in his chamber, the danger grew closer. Commander Volan met with 3 other angry nobles in the shadow room. This must stop, he hissed. The queen listens to him. The air smiles at him. Even the lower classes follow his ideas. He's poisoning our traditions, one noble said. We must act now, another whispered. Volan smiled cruelly, then let the soothbringer feel fear. Let him feel our strength. The next day, Jack took Kiru to the outer gardens. It was her first trip beyond the palace walls. She giggled as she floated in a bubble-like stroller. Poking at the glowing butterflies, Thari walked beside, them holding a small bag of fruit snacks. You are good with her, Thari said softly. Jack shrugged. She's a great kid. Just needed someone to listen. Thari hesitated. Then she asked, Will you stay here forever? Jack paused. I don't know. Earth might call me back, but this place, it feels like home now. Thari nodded. Then, be careful. The shadows here are deep. Jack frowned. What do you mean? But before she could answer, a loud explosion rocked the garden. Boom. The ground shook. Lights flickered. Guards screamed. From behind the trees, attackers rushed forward, black-armored rebels with sharp weapons and glowing eyes. Jack grabbed Kiru and shielded her with his body. Thari, get down, he shouted. One rebel raised a spear and ran at Jack. He had no weapon, but he had his voice. Kiru, stay calm, he shouted, holding her close. The baby started to cry, but Jack quickly whispered, I'm here. Not leaving you, not ever. Kiru's cries turned into soft clicks. Her body relaxed. The attacker froze. From behind, Thari threw a sharp vine whip, hitting the rebel and knocking him out. More rebels came, but the palace guards arrived just in time, blasting them back. Jack stayed low, covering Kiru the entire time. By the time the fight ended, he was bruised, bleeding, but still standing. And Kiru was still calm in his arms. Later in the healing room, Queen Zirana stood over Jack. You risked your life for her, she said, voice low. Jack, with a bandage on his arm, chuckled. Well, I wasn't going to run and leave a baby behind. Shh. Did not scream, the queen said. She trusted you, even in danger. Jack looked up at her, 'cause she knows I won't let anything happen to her. Zirana stepped closer. You are more than a guest now, she said. You are family. Jack sat up slowly. Does that make me part of the royal court? No, she said softly. It makes you part of my heart. They both fell silent. and then without words, she placed her hand gently over his. The next morning, the queen stood before the High Council. She wore full royal armor but also held Kiru in her arms, a rare sight. The rebels attacked, she said firmly. They fear change. They fear emotion. But I do not. Some counselors murmured. Others stared in silence. Zirana raised her voice. Jack Vance is not just a human. He's the one who calmed my air. He's the one who showed us love is not weakness. Paused, then said he will stay. As my official advisor, as the first human ever to sit beside a Zenthari ruler. Gasps filled the room, but no one spoke against her. That evening, as the sun set over Velshara, Jack stood with Zirana and Thari on a high balcony. He looked out at the glowing city, now peaceful again. You really trust me that much? Asked. Zirana nodded. Yes. You gave my child peace. You gave me something more, a rare hope. Jack looked at Kiru, who was chewing on his finger. I think she gave me something too, he said. Zirana tilted her head. What? A reason to stay. And high above them, the stars watched silently as a human heart, a queen's pride, and a child's laugh changed a world forever. The stars of Velshara shone brighter than usual that night. The palace towers glowed like lanterns in the sky, and the people of the Zenthari Empire whispered stories of change. They spoke of a human Jack Vance who had calmed the royal. Aaron touched the heart of their powerful queen. But not all hearts were calm. Queen Zirana stood on her balcony, holding baby Kiru in her arms. Her daughter had just fallen asleep, the stars reflected in her large green eyes. But her mind was full of noise. Behind her stood High Scholar Veen. You know what they're saying across the empire? Your Majesty, Veen said. That the queen is falling in love with a human. That she is breaking tradition. Zirana didn't answer at first. She stared at Kiru's peaceful face. They fear what they don't understand. Veen stepped forward. The council grows uneasy. And Earth is watching too. They wonder why one of their own hasn't returned. Zirana's voice turned cold. He is not returned because he is needed here. Is he your advisor? Veen asked. Your consort? Your experiment? Or your weakness? The queen's claws curled. He is not weakness, she said sharply. He gave my daughter peace. He gave me clarity. Meanwhile, Jack was walking through the palace gardens with Thari, the quiet palace worker who had become his friend. She carried a small bag of glowing fruits, and he held Kiru in one arm. People keep staring, Jack said with a half-smile. They've never seen anything like you, Thari replied softly. You are not just a human. You are a symbol now. Symbol of what? Jack asked. Of change. Jack grew quiet. He looked at the peaceful garden, the same place where rebels had attacked just days ago. Guards still stood hidden in the shadows. But things felt calmer now. More curious stares, or gentle nods. Still, Jack could feel something building. A storm in the silence. That evening, Queen Zirana invited Jack to a private chamber deep inside the palace. It was a hidden room, no guards, no advisors. Just soft lights, floating flowers, and the sound of slow music. Jack entered, carrying Kiru. You wanted to see me? He asked. Zirana stood near a table where 2 cups of golden drinks steamed gently. I want to speak with you alone, she said, not as queen and guest, but as Zirana and Jack. Jack set Kiru down in a soft cradle. All right, I'm listening. She looked at him, not with power, not with distance, but with emotion. I was raised to be a weapon, she said, to rule without fear, to destroy weakness. My mother never touched me. My father never spoke with love. Jack listened quietly. But then you came, she continued. You calmed my child. You changed the way people see me. And you've changed how I see myself. Jack stepped closer. Zirana, I am torn, she said. My people expect cold strength. But I feel warm when I'm near you. When I hold Kiru. When I hear her laugh. Jack touched her hand. Gently. You're not broken. You're becoming whole. She didn't pull away. Instead, she asked, "Do you believe two different worlds can truly connect?" "I believe they already have," Jack said. Their hands stayed together for the first time. There were no titles between them, just two hearts. But peace doesn't come without cost. Far across the palace, Earth's Ambassador General Harlow arrived. By emergency ship. He wore a sharp suit, a deep frown, and a badge showing Earth's symbol. Jack was summoned to meet him in the Crystal Hall. The meeting was not friendly. "You've been here for weeks," Harlow said coldly. "No reports, no updates. And now we hear rumors, dangerous ones." Jack crossed his arms. "I've been doing more than sitting around. I helped calm the air of a superpower. I've been building peace." Harlow replied, "Too personal. There are people on Earth who think you're compromised." Jack shook his head. "I'm not compromised. I'm committed to what, the mission or the Queen?" Jack didn't answer. That silence was loud enough. Queen Zirana was watching from a secret screen. She saw Jack's loyalty. She also saw the risk. Later that night, she summoned the council. For the first time in 100 years, she stood without her armor. It's just a simple dark robe. "I bring a proposal," she said. "A new path, new law." The council murmured. "I will invite Earth to form a deeper bond with our empire," she continued, "and I will begin that bond by forming a personal alliance." "Personal?" asked one noble. Zirana raised her chin. "With Jack Vance." Hit the room, a human one shouted. "A foreigner?" another cried. Zirana held up her hand. "He saved my daughter. He changed our ways. He proved that peace comes not through power, but through love." Some shouted. Some cheered. Some sat in silence. The council would vote the next day. Jack sat alone in his quarters, looking out at the stars. KRU was asleep nearby. The Queen hadn't spoken to him since the meeting. Was she pulling away, or preparing for something bigger? Then a knock.exe Rana entered, alone, quiet but strong. "I made a choice," she said. "What kind of choice?" Jack asked. She stepped close. "The kind that could change everything." She reached out. "Will you stand beside Manat just as an advisor, but as something more?" Jack didn't speak. He just took her hand. The Queen of Elshara didn't. Need words anymore? She had found what she needed. A partner, a protector. The next day, the council chamber was full. The vote was ready. The Queen stood tall. Jack stood beside her. Holding Kuru, and the future waited with breathless silence. The royal council chamber had never been this silent. The Zenthari nobles, scholars, and General Zal, seated in a wide circle, watched with sharp, glowing eyes as Queen Zirana stood in the center. Her black robe shimmered softly, her green eyes calm but full of fire. Beside her stood Jack Vance, a human, holding the Queen's baby daughter Kiru in his arms. No one spoke. But tension filled the room like smoke. Queen Zirana raised her voice, loud and clear. "I have made my decision," she said. "I will not rule through fear anymore. I will rule through care, through strength of spirit, and through unity." She turned her head toward Jack. This human Jack Vance came to us. Not with weapons, not with demands, but with open hands and a warm heart. He soothed my daughter when no one else could. He reminded me how to feel, how to be a mother, how to be more than a crown. Some council members murmured, others sat frozen. Zirana continued. "Today I ask for your approval, not just to form a new bond with Earthbud, to take Jack Vance as my royal partner, not for politics, not for show, but for truth." She paused. "This is not weakness. This is evolution." High Scholar Veen stood up. "But he is not Zenthari. He is flesh and warmth." "He is not trained in our ways," Zirana replied firmly. "No, he is not. That is exactly why he is needed." All eyes turned to Jack. He stepped forward slowly, holding Kiru close. "I don't come from a royal bloodline," Jack said. "I don't even own a spaceship. But I do know what it means to protect someone. I do know what love is. If you let me, I'll use that love to help build something better between humans and Zenthari. For Kiru for all children, he looked around the chamber. You don't have to trust me today, but trust what's already changed. Kiru, in his arms, giggled softly and reached out toward the Quinn. The room was silent again. Then the head of the council raised a silver staff. We shall vote. One by one, the council members placed their glowing orbs into the center of the circle. Blue for yes, red for no. The orbs began to shine. Blue, blue, red, blue, red. Jack's heart beat fast. The queen stayed silent, her face unreadable, then final. Orb in place, the vote finished. A screen above showed the result. Council vote, 67%. APPROVT. Jack almost dropped the baby. Gasps filled the chamber. Some nobles nodded slowly. Others shook their heads. But no one protested. Ziarana smiled gently and stepped toward. Jack, you're one of us now, she whispered. Later that evening, skies over Velshara were filled with floating lights and songs. It was the first Unity Festival in Zenthari history. For the first time, both Earth's and Velshara's flags flew side by side in the wind. Jack stood on a high platform beside Queen Ziarana. Below, thousands of Zenthari citizens chanted his name in their clicking language. Kiru sat happily on, his shoulders giggling and waving her little claws. Earth's ambassador, General Harlow, approached and shook Jack's hand. You proved us all wrong, Harlow said. You didn't just make peace, you made family. Jack nodded. I didn't do it alone, the queen. She chose this path. I just walked beside her. Ziarana joined them. We are still walking, she said proudly. But as the celebrations continued, a new danger crept in the shadows, far in the outer tunnels of the capital. A bitter figure watched from the dark. Commander Volan. He had escaped after the failed attack weeks ago. He had lost his position, his honor. And now he saw his empire cheering for a human and a queen who had gone soft. This is not the future, he growled. This is weakness in disguise. He placed a strange black crystal into a control panel. A hologram lit up from deep space. A voice answered, cold, mechanical. We are listening. Volan bowed. I request aid from the Ancient Ones. I request cleansing fire. The voice replied, your request is granted. 1 cycle from now, prepare. 1 week later, things began to change across Velshara. More caretakers used human-style parenting. More guards smiled at children. More families showed affection in public and in the palace. Queen Ziarana and Jack trained together in the art of diplomacy. You really think they'll listen to a human? Jack asked during one lesson. They already are, Ziarana replied. And you don't speak as a human anymore. You speak as a father. Jack looked at Kiru nearby, crawling around her soft playroom. He smiled. Yeah, I guess I do. Then the sky turned red. Alarms blared across the capital. Ships appeared in the upper atmosphere. Dark. Ancient ships, not from Earth or the Zenthari fleet. They were old, silent, covered in black armor and red light from them. A message came. We are the ancients. You have failed the way of strength. You will be cleansed. Panic spread through the city. Queen Ziarana called an emergency meeting. These ships are from the lost war masters of the old galaxy, she explained. They were once our allies, now long hidden. Commander Volan has summoned them. Want to destroy us? Jack asked. They want to destroy weakness, Ziarana said. And now they see us as weak. Jack stepped forward. Then let's show them what real strength is. The Queen's fleet prepared for battle. They knew they were outnumbered. Jack stood in the strategy room with generals and commanders. I have an idea, Jack said. It's not about weapons. He tapped a button and showed a video. It was Kira laughing, reaching for her mother, sleeping in Jack's arms. Send this to their fleet, he said. Let them see what we've become. Not just war machines, but beings who care, who love, who protect. The message was sent. Minutes passed. Then the ancient fleet began to power down. Reply came. You are stronger than we thought. This is not weakness. This This is evolution. We will not fight. We will watch. The ships vanished. The sky cleared. The people of Velshara cheered. Days later, Queen Ziorana and Jack stood once again on the high platform. No war. No fire, just hope. Ziorana raised her daughter in her arms. This child is the future of our world, she said. And the human who soothed her is the bridge between stars. Jack stepped forward. I never thought I'd leave Earth and find something better. But I didn't just find peace. I found a purpose. Family. Kiru clicked and squeaked joyfully. The crowd roared. That night, the stars blinked above. Queen Ziorana and Jack stood on the balcony of the royal nursery. Kiru slept soundly inside. You changed everything, Ziorana said. Jack smiled. No. She changed everything. I just held her long enough for you to see it. They held hands, two worlds. One family, one heart.